Okay, so here is day one of my barrel sauna build. I've done a little bit of research on it, and one of my buddies, Greg, has one in his backyard, so I've been over there and had a quick look. So I emptied out Home Depot of their good cedar, which they had a whopping 13 of, and I think I need close to, I think it's about 80. Depending on the diameter that I actually build my barrel sauna. So I'm gonna build mine just a little bit bigger so that I have a little bit more room for my benches and to be able to stand up like fully inside. But I'll kind of walk you guys through the process of what I plan to do with this. I'm not a woodworker by any means, but I'm not super foreign to it. So here's hoping that this goes well. Okay, so essentially what I'm trying to do on my outside walls is this. So I kind of want to have a tongue and a groove. And then that way, if my walls decide that they want to separate a little bit, instead of just butting my joints up like this, I'm not going to have a gap in between there. There's at least going to be some lumber in there. So I should get a little bit less heat loss, and you shouldn't be able to see daylight in between. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Okay, so I got all my grooves cut. Well, for the boards that I have anyway. So now I got to adjust this guy, and I'll bring that fence in so that I'm just taking a 1/2 inch on either side, and then I'll have to run each of these boards again through. So, okay, so I'm at the part of the process where I'm just cutting my circle out. So I got all my end wall pieces in, and I figured out what my radius is. It's going to be 3'2" to this cut here. So what I did was just kind of make a little jig here. There's a better way to do this, but this is the way I'm doing it. So my router just kind of sits on the edge here and then butts into that and runs around in a big old circle. And it should be a nice perfect circle when we get done. I'll probably have to do about 2 or 3 passes just to get the depth, because I don't want to make my router work that hard. But I think I've got, yeah, I bet I got maybe 5/8 or 3/4. So probably 2 more passes, and then we'll have a circle. Okay, so there is one of the walls. It doesn't matter whether it's the front or the back, but I think this one's going to be the back. But that's your perfect circle. It looks pretty good. So we'll, I guess I can kind of flip her over and show you the bottom side. I'll show you what I did on the bottom side, and then I'll get cleaned up here. Okay, so this is going to be the outside. It'll be the back. So what I did was just put a few support pieces in so that when I cut my radius, these didn't move too much. And then I think what I'll end up doing is drilling a hole and then screwing these end pieces like just a direct screw that way on each one. It doesn't seem to want to move too much, which is a good sign, but kind of got this little weird piece on the end, but it ain't gonna matter. This should work. When I cut my staves, I will have a kind of a dado in my stave. So the stave is actually gonna sit down in here, but I think I've got, what do I have here? Oh, I've got about 1 inch. So I don't think I plan on going that deep. I'll probably end up with like a 3/4 inch dado into all of my staves around, so that should work. I shouldn't have to move that. And then I kept these down, I think they're down 1 inch, 1.25 inches or something like that, so I shouldn't run into yeah, like I'm down like 1 inch and 1/8 inch and 3/16. So my stave should run nice all the way around, and I'll throw a little bit of sand on there and get rid of some of my pencil marks. And that took way longer than I would have liked. So okay, so this is kind of a top view from, and this is going to be my front wall. This board here, that's just to tell me what my radius is, because when I put all these boards on here, I got to make sure that they're inset from my outer radius at least 3/4 of an inch and maybe a little bit more, because when I dado my staves, the boards that go around the outside, I need that inset. This middle board is not screwed through the middle, but I wanted it to go all the way across just so I could keep everything tight. So if I screwed this end, I kind of tightened everything up and then screwed the far end, and that way it kind of sandwiched anything in. If I was just to put like a 2-foot piece here and a 2-foot piece over there, nothing would stay stable. So I'll end up cutting this out wherever my door goes, and my door is going to sit, yeah, right dead center here. I think it's going to be about 26 inches wide, and it should sit down, I think, about 4 inches from here. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do on this piece before I kind of get them out of the way is just cut my door. So I'm gonna make it 56 inches by, I think 24, no, a little bit more than 24 inches. I think like 25 inches. So what I'm gonna do is just take my overall diameter and then figure out what center is, and then measure 56 inches off of that. So my door is centered in my wall, and then I'll figure out this side piece. I should have structured it a little bit differently on the backside, so when I cut these out, the pieces will be a little bit loose through my door, but that's okay because I'll just assemble my door afterwards and fit it in the opening, and that's fine. And I'm gonna have some trim that covers it anyways, so if I'm a little off, it's not gonna matter. But yeah, that's kind of the next step. Once I get my door cut, I've got the rest of my staves over here that I gotta notch the other side, but I might cut, all of these are a little bit different length by not too much, like 1/8 of an inch. And so I don't even know if I'm gonna worry about it, but all of my measurements for my dados have to come off of this dado, because if I measure just 3 inches off of that other side there, then all my dados will be in and out. Like they'll vary about 1/8 of an inch or even like 3/16 or 1/4. And so I'm gonna make a little jig so that I can set those into a groove or something, a straight groove, and then just run a straight edge or something and figure that out. But I'll kind of show you what I do with that. But then as soon as I got that done and that done, then I got to build my base, and then I can install my circles in my base and go from there. Okay, so this is the door. This will be the front wall here. I should have a little bit of clearance to kind of trim this out. It's not a lot, but it should be enough. If I really am concerned about it, what I can do is just cut this up straight up there, and then I'll have a little bit of room for my trim on my corners. But it worked out really well, actually. So that bottom piece there is kind of stabilized all these little blocks up there, and the same thing on the top piece. Like these aren't going to move anywhere. And then this is my door behind here. So I've kind of, before I put that out, or after I took that out, because it stayed in pretty good position, so then I just put a 2x6 on the top and the bottom, and that's not going to move. And now I can cut my window out and do whatever I need to do, and then those boards shouldn't move, and then I can hinge that and put that on there once I'm done. So and then I've got just kind of one screw to put in here, but I'm going to put my level on this piece and make sure that we're in and out. And if I need to, I can face screw a couple screws in here, just to kind of make sure that that jamb stays straight, so that my reveal looks good on my doors and stuff. So yeah, so next step is just to get the other side of the dados in all of this, and I've kind of got a mess, but I'll get some sort of jig on my sawhorses here and do it pretty quick, hopefully, and then build my base and start assembling. And that has been, fuck, I'm excited to start that process. So hopefully by the end of today, yeah, I bet by the end of today, I'm almost ready to start assembling. I've only got a couple more hours to work here before I got to do some stuff, but yeah, making wood chips fly. Okay, so the way this kind of works, I just took a sheet of plywood, screwed it to my sawhorses, and then what I did was, I've already done one set of dados with my other jig, and it was painfully slow. So I just put this stop on here. So all of these boards are gonna butt up here. And what I do is just kind of go down to the far end and tap them with a hammer, make sure that they're all tight. Once they're all tight, I throw this guy in. So this is just a 2x6, and if I did all my dados right the first time, that should just sit down in there, which it does. And then what I do from there is, like, as long as they're all tight up here, which they're pretty damn good, then I have a mark. So I've got a mark to put my straight edge down here on. And so what I do is I just take my straight edge here, and I've actually got two marks here. So I've got my first mark is right here. Well, I've kind of got two marks over there, but I know it's the inside mark there. So I'll line up the far side. I'll line up this side here. All right, so it doesn't take too long. Takes just a couple minutes, and then this is kind of the end result. So you have a really nice dado in here. It's going to be a perfectly straight line. Okay, so I'm done dadoing all of my staves. So these are all done. So I've got my canoe joint, and then this will sit on my back or my front wall, and the other side, same kind of deal. So these are all done. There's 51 of them. And then I've got 2 extras over there. I think I'll end up using 52, but I'll just wait and I'll cut it down to the right length before I go crazy doing a whole bunch of other stuff to it. Now, the next piece that I've got to do is my base. Okay, so this is my setup to get my radius for my bases. What I did was figure out what my actual radius was based on my barrel, added 3/4 of an inch, and then I had to just do some math for the base of my router. So the base of my router just rides against this guy, and then that creates my my base radius. So I've got 2 of them done over here. So that's one pass right there. I'm getting a little bit aggressive because I just want to be done this, but yeah, I'll show you. Okay, so that's one pass. It's about halfway through, so the router's working pretty dang hard, but you can see it just gets me like a really nice perfect circle. And I've got a couple marks here. So my board is centered, so I've made kind of a mark. They're 52 inches long, 48 inches plywood. So this will end up being like the bottom of that radius or diameter, whatever you want to call it, will be kind of dead center. So what I'll be able to do is just measure over to center and then put my first stave in. But all of my base pieces will be like identical, and it should be pretty awesome. Okay, so these are my bases here. So that doesn't, it's lined up. It's really down close to being lined up. It's just got a big wane on this far side here. So anyways, I've got really nice radiuses. So now what I need to do is figure out where center is, and then I'm gonna actually assemble part of it in here, just because it's cold outside and I don't want to be outside. So what I'll do is I'll probably put in about 5 or 6 of these bottom staves in here. I just got to figure out what I do with that center one. If I start with like that, or if I start with whatever else. So go have some lunch, dinner, I guess. It's probably 6 o'clock. And then I'll come back and I can actually start assembling stuff, and all of the almost all of the prep work is done. I have to do a little bit of sanding on my staves, on my bull noses, and then I'll have to probably clean up these just a little bit, sand those just for a few minutes. But yeah, I'm gonna sand that little guy down there. But it's all done. Prep work is done. Assembly is about ready to commence, and I'm thinking I probably have like, I don't know how long it's gonna take me to assemble it. If I do it, I'm gonna guess 5 hours of assembly by myself. And then it's gonna take me another 5 hours just to clean up my garage. So, okay, so the project kind of goes like this. Lots of people have troubles like squaring these up when they start them. I thought I'd just build mine in here, and then I'm just using a sheet of plywood to get everything square and centered. So I've got these just tacked. These are just tacked onto my plywood, and I know that my plywood is square, and then this is just, my plywood was sagging in the middle. So what I did was just run those along. So now I've got a dead straight run this way. Everything is square, and then I've got my first piece in here. So so far so good. The only issue is when I set my depth for my cove here, I didn't set it very deep because like my router was gonna probably burn out. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably run these through one more time and take this out just a little bit higher here, and then that should allow that to sit in just a little bit tighter there. Because if I have that tight, then I'm gonna have that gap there, and I don't want that gap there, because then when I put my wall in, then I'll have this hump there. So I think what I'm gonna end up having to do is just set my planer, run it through, and then take out a little bit more material at the top, and then that should slide it over a little bit more, and then I should have a little less gap there, and then it should follow that curve a little bit better. But yeah, minor hiccup. It just is what it is. And then what I'll do is I'll build this in the garage just up to my base here, and then I'll take that out back, and then I'll get everything level, and then I'll just finish building it out back. So we're closing in. Almost there. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think plus about another 7 over here. So 13 more boards to router. That is a massive pile of sawdust, and my lungs are full. And there's the dog. So that's all. That's the routered pile. So looks like that, man. Okay, so this is our start. The goal today is to have this all assembled and done. So far so good. I got some really nice straight lines on this. We'll see where we get. By the end of the day, the goal is to have this done, and by the end of the week, the goal is to be sitting in there having a sauna. So let's see if we can make something happen. Look at how awesome this tamarack wood looks. Okay, so I think this is roughly where it's gonna go. I gotta level it first, level up the side, level it this way, so it's gonna be leveled that way and that way. And then when I put my front wall on, I'll actually have a reference to where my door is supposed to go as far as being level or plumb. And then, see, there's the cold tub, man. This would be awesome. That's dirty. I'll clean that out. Anyways, we'll get her going. Now we're moving. Okay, so I think this is kind of where we're putting it. It's easy to run electrical. So she's leveled. Is she ever leveled front and back? Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, we're getting there. I got about, I don't know, not quite half done, but it's going fairly quick. Looks pretty tidy. We'll cut that out eventually. Oh, it's almost closed in all of its glory. So the only thing that I got left to do is just to fit these top pieces in, and they'll fit. It's just, I gotta go get a couple straps, and then once I got my straps, I'll have some down pressure on there, and then if I need to, I can remove the screws from like a couple boards over to squish her down and get everything nice and tight, and then that'll obviously be tightened up. But well, that's it. Not too bad. Okay, so electrical day, I hope. I've got my heater installed. Ooh, that's nice. So the wire's gonna run from the backside here, and then that's the little thermostat, and that's gonna go up there. Okay, so I've got my door on. These are kind of mechanic hinges, so when the door is open, if somebody forgets to shut the door, it'll kind of spring load shut. It's not the prettiest door, but whatever. I'm going to take these off eventually, and they'll either go to the inside, so it'll be a little bit more visually appealing from here, and then I'll put a piece of glass in there at some point down the road. But I just want to get this to be usable as soon as possible. So doors on. Next step is, obviously I've got the wiring and stuff to go in. I've got it. I just have to figure that out, and then now I got to put some benches in. So I went over to Greg's last night, measured some stuff up, so I just got to get some tools back here, and then I'll start kind of fiddling around with this, and hopefully in a couple hours we have some benches. Ooh. She's on and making noise. It's like 2 degrees. We got that up to 200 last time. 90 degrees Celsius. So I'll come back in here in about 30 minutes and see what it is. But she's raring to go. Okay, so this afternoon's project was to get this all kind of wrapped up. So my metal straps came in a little bit ago, so I've got those all on now. I had to cut them down and move these pieces around a little bit because I built my sauna a little bit different dimension than typical. My window's in, my handle's on, and on the inside, my lights were giving me grief. They kept on falling down because of the moisture. Oh, there's a couple purple ones in there. So double-sided tape, hopefully that kind of solves the issue down there. And then, yeah. So I got a good seal on my door now because I kind of put these trim pieces around so it seals up really nice in here. And don't know. That's the business. It's kind of all wrapped up and finito. All right, so there was a few things that I didn't touch on as far as the like taking videos of the construction. So installing the stove and the benches and stuff like that, I didn't really touch on a whole lot. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to leave you guys with was basically a breakdown of costs and a breakdown of construction time that I have into this. So cost-wise, I'm probably about $4,500 total into this thing. I might be up to about $4,800 by the time I get my roof on. So breakdown of that goes something like this. So the stove was about $900, $950, I think. The electrical was about $500, I think about $550 for the breaker and the actual wire. Now, I'm a long ways from my from my box. So I've got quite a few feet of wire. So depending on where you decide to put yours, yours might be more or less. My window was I think $120, $130 in my door there. And LED lights, I think they're $50 on Amazon. I made my own handles, took me 10 minutes. It wasn't hard to do that. And then I've got like a thermometer and a hygrometer over on the corner there, and that was about $35. The rest of it was lumber. So lumber is your big cost, obviously, and we built this is obviously cedar. Yeah, that was the big cost. I didn't have a lot of waste or leftover. So the kits for these go for like 10 to 12,000. So this one is an 8-foot long sauna, and it's I think we did an inside diameter of about 6'2", 6'3", and that's one of the things that I would definitely do again. So cost breakdown, yeah, like I said, about $4,500 total for everything. Labor into this, I think I have close to 60 hours. So a lot of that was just spent milling the lumber, and then there's quite a bit of detail work too. So the milling of the lumber and all that stuff and building your end walls, yeah, that's probably like half of it. And then the actual, like when I put all my pieces together, that only took me 4 hours, I think, to put my end walls into my cradles and put all my staves in. And then there's a bunch of BS after that. So you gotta put your door on, your benches, install your lights, do your electrical, put your metal straps on the outside, etc., etc., etc. So there's quite a bit of like little dilly-dallying work. And then there was probably 15-ish hours of research, maybe 20 hours of research that went into this. So watching a few YouTube videos on how to do this, and you know, there's a few websites you can go to and do some reading. They'll give you material lists, etc., and then just like making sure that you have all of your bits for your routers and etc. So yeah, that's kind of it.